Hey guys, Kevin Cage back with another cryptocurrency update. Welcome to the channel. Like and subscribe if you're serious about the digital asset space. And let's get right into it today. One take and uncut. So I have plenty of points to go over today. We're going to go into some additional news and some further speculation and just kind of show you again. There's just too many coincidences, but for those of you that are considered rational investors, I'm sure this is just another coincidence in the space, even though the backing comes to billions of dollars invested, not only in Ripple, but of course in distributed ledger technology, and of course RippleNet, a permission blockchain, but the XRP ledger being the first ledger system, just DLT system network that basically uses consensus other than proof of work. So it truly is, some say the Bitcoin 2.0. I like to say the Bitcoin 3.0. It's solving a completely different use case. I'm, bullish on many assets that solve real problems. But again, XRP, in my opinion, not financial advice, is best poised to solve the payments problem. That's all. It's not the solution for everything, but in terms of payments, I think that we are going to get massive market share in the future. So let's get into the information. So right here, King Solomon, guys, I want you all to understand the magnitude of Ripple, the company, joining the Global ISO Standards Committee for cross-border payments. Interoperability is key. Long thread, I'm sure there's plenty that I've missed. So again, just right here on Ripple's homepage, to help enable this next step in global interoperability, the key word, and meet evolving needs of our customers, again, all regulated financial institutions and 50 governments, again, central banks. Ripple is now part of the ISO 222 standards body, the first member focused on DLT, guys. We already understand the messaging, we understand Xcurrent, we understand GPI, we understand, ISO as this kind of messaging standard across for interoperability and communication and standardization, of course, just like with the logistics in the past, of course, with the same type of crate and machinery. Efficiency in terms of logistics grew substantially. We can see that even with Amazon packaging. The same concept is going to play a role in the Internet of Value. Access a network of global financial institutions governed by rules and functional standards. This is institutional grade, guys. There's been years of testing, 50 million plus ledgers successfully closed, not a single error in the network ever. This is something that is ready for institutional adoption, and it is simply a matter of time. We are witnessing one of the greatest global liquidity crises in the history. I mean, this time period right now, guys, there's going to be history books about it 20 years from now, but we're not really witnessing it because there's so much going on with the media. So just want to emphasize that. Who runs on RippleNet? Oh, MUFG, one of the biggest banks in the world, Santander, Standard Chartered, SCB. These are just, some of the direct partners. You have to look indirectly as well. So again, even Galgatron, Ripple being nimble enough, again, being able to be versatile and adapt to rapidly support ISO 20022 while Swift wrangles with the global calamity in trying to evolve its infrastructure speaks mountains about where we are headed. And, I agree 100%. So anyways, this thread, we're going to speed through it just to get through additional information. Guys, follow XRP_owl. Tons of information here. So just to speed through, again, ACI Worldwide settling $14 trillion a day, RippleNet partner, but I'm sure that's just another coincidence. And of course, they have all kinds of promotional videos on the ISO standard. Interestingly enough, Ripple is, of course, one of the first to use DLT. Next, we can see modernization of Europe's payment infrastructures will be global market events. Guys, you know the names, you understand, Augustin Carson's, Mark Carney, Christine Lagarde. We understand the connections with Ripple. We understand the trials, the proof of concepts, interledger protocol testing between even, the Central Bank of Canada, Central Bank of Japan. There's just too many projects going on. And yes, they need interoperability, and it's a level playing field coming. You can see here the same identity that filed a patent to settle XRP over Swift messages. Identities overlay. The same identity that partnered with Trace Financial and Swift, oddly enough, to update Swift messages for ISO. And as we can see here, again, identity built on the Ripple protocol, designed to support low value. Again, Ripple, guys, as I believe, will target low value, high volume cross-border payments when R3 and Corda, that is high value. Again, R3 and Ripple, both two companies. Ripple, kind of that low value, low hanging fruit corridors, on-demand liquidity. R3, trade finance, the world of trillions of dollars of institutional money. And it is like, walking upstairs. You need those steps in that foundation to build the pyramid. This is what we're witnessing. And yes, I'm betting big that this is literally happening exactly as we're seeing it. And it's a long time coming. I believe that XRP is going to be that last mover, tire people out, just like metals and crypto are highly manipulated and suppressed. I think that eventually these altcoins are going to have better moves short term. Slowly, people will sell some of their XRP to chase other gains with other projects. I'm just saying I'm holding a portion of XRP for life. There's nothing wrong with taking profits, de-risking. I get it. But for me, I think this has kind of all been planned. And if that's too conspiratorial for you, that's fine. Let's see what happens in the future. And be sure to see this next tab that I'm going to go over as well. But first, again, Pay UK, UK's leading payments authority, next generation standard for UK retail payments. Guys, I mean, this just reminds me of even Task Group. It reminds me of the, the T2 payments, even, Target's 2 payments, all throughout the European infrastructure of payments. It's simply happening. Interledger Protocol, XRP, liquidity interface standard. I mean, just to kind of speed through this, and I highly recommend you check this out on your own. A common standard, interoperable. We understand this. Bank of England, guys, remember, they trialed XRP. They're a RippleNet partner. This is the Central Bank of England. Mark Carney, basic liquidity management functionality. XRP, of course, for settlement, but there's going to be so many new operations and efficiencies and new revenue streams for these massive groups that are adopting this technology. XRP is a mini piece of the puzzle. Why do I care about it? Because I'm preparing myself to potentially make a lot of money and get a phenomenal ROI. Right? Not financial advice, guys. Right? Payments Canada, modernization. Again, Vimeo video. We can see major central banks and SWIFT to migrate to the ISO messaging standard. Again, no surprise. We can keep going. Talking about, let's see, the EBA clearing to migrate to large value payment systems. Okay, notice Ripple, low value, low volume. Wait until there's larger values. Again, for some banks, they consider even a $10,000 transfer a micro payment. What are we talking about? I'm talking about $50 million being sent, several seconds throughout the European Union. Like, there's real money moving between these conglomerates and, financial institutions and central banks. And they have to settle on the core ledger, right? Identity at Sibos. Again, that was Swift's annual event, talking about enhancing the legacy system, which is exactly what Ripple is aiming to do with Visa and many other groups. Partners with Swift, Trace Financial, again, built on Ripple Protocol, just to remind you. I mean, guys, this is an awesome thread that King Solomon put together, and there's even more information. Again, talking about his exit plan and standards. I'm significantly more bullish than him as well. But yeah, we had a good talk even this weekend on the phone too. But again, right here, Task Group. I was just talking about them. Look at this. Shared infrastructure program. We got the Task Network Gateway. I know you guys have seen the video that I've done with Task. I mean, I've done like 30 of them probably, at least mentioning them, and showing the document that Task and Ripple are working together. And kind of just take a look, just talking about the standards. ISO, you can see emergent standards. Again, Ripple isn't the first example, just like I was talking about, the T2 and T2S. It's just all happening. That's just like payment formats, I believe. But again, local networks, we can see Ripple again. And then, EBIX is, what is it? I always look up the acronym every single time. But again, Swift certified, access gateways, Task Group. I love how it's an owl logo. Hint, hint for all of you that are paying attention. Again, secure financial messaging service. This is literally what Swift is. And again, shared infrastructure programs, they're building up. And just like Galgatron even said, guys, it speaks volumes what's happening. Swift can't keep up. They don't have the funding. Ripple's one of the highest valued private companies to date. You have to pay attention to what's really happening behind the scenes. And yeah, you have to speculate on a speculative investment as always. If it was obvious, the price point would already be high. And you guys are kind of missing out, missing the point of this entire rollout that is occurring in front of us. All right, FedWire even. Migration delayed by Federal Reserve Bank. All right, keep going. And I just sent him a tip on XRP. But right here, guys, I just want to make this point too. I would like to say the following to every rational person that believes XRP will not surpass $10. You cannot be realistic in an unrealistic market. When we are looking at trillions, even the very low quadrillions of value and tokenization upon us with a single protocol with ILP, price predictions are silly, but so are price limitations. I have some people on every YouTube video. I don't know if it's just a bot or they're real people wasting their time. And I even heard the modern investor say the same thing. There's people that just comment on every video and say XRP will never pass $1. XRP will never pass $10. I don't get why you're doing that with your time, but good luck. All right. Next up, this is a really cool clip. This is of Miguel Valles, again, former executive at CME Group, guys, basically head of metals markets, the genius, the master of developing liquidity and fostering the actual ecosystem and growing them. Then he joined Ripple, became head of XRP markets, and now recently, I believe this month or last month, we've kind of seen news that he updated his LinkedIn and he may be gone, meaning his job is close to being done, and now they're just simply waiting for regulations and waiting to kind of ramp up everything in between. And maybe, during this time, this global liquidity crisis, it's not the best time to do something like that, but I disagree, and I think that we are in store essentially for something very big by end of year. Now, this is my opinion. Do not get upset if nothing happens. I just wholeheartedly do believe that we are going to witness some big price increases by end of year. So prepare yourself for anything, right? Listen up to this. Hopefully the volume is okay for you. And just listen to what he talks about. Again, institutional money. We're talking about liquidity, tighter spreads, and why XRP could be the bridge asset. There's not going to be a bunch of, bridge assets for this. It's kind of essentially be the universal bridge asset that everyone will use to interoperate their other bridge assets. All right, and it can be backed by the value it is sending over the ledger. So many benefits, decentralized exchanges, IOUs, collateralized positions. You get it if you guys have been here for a few years, but listen up.
There's another selling pressure that you're probably not going to see. So I think you'll see these dips when people get scared, but really the large holders, they're not getting out. These pops in price, which are opportunities. Now, over time, again, the non-structural inefficiencies will be borne out, and as liquidity grows. But at the moment, there's some real opportunities there for not just traders, but even for payment providers.
Maybe banks get to a point where they're.
Notice he said the big players don't care about short-term price movements. This is just like the dot-com bubble with Netscape and all of these other groups. The big players simply buy and hold. Who knows if they have people manipulating the market or what kind of algorithm, or if it truly is just the market finding balance in its true market discovery and price discovery. Who knows? I'm just saying, I'm not worried about price fluctuations. I don't care if we go to 50 cents. I don't care if we go back to 12 cents. I'm simply dollar cost averaging and just, continuously going, because I see what is occurring here. And yes, I do diversify, but I'm talking about XRP because I've explained this point numerous times. I see it having the highest upside when the volcano finally pops. All right. Cross-border real-time payments is the most pressing issue for cryptocurrency now. Of course, oracles, decentralized oracles, and STOs, and running platforms to build and tokenize assets. Yeah, that's absolutely important, but I think that they want to solve this payments issue first, and then the next few years could be potentially even more massive.
Comfortable dealing at digital asset exchanges because these, like Bitstamp, for instance, is fully regulated and they have banking relationships, and definitely the worlds are coming together. So I think we'll get to a point where banks, no problem, will connect to Coinbase or Kraken or Bitso or, whoever it is.
That's just what was it, Brianne Madigan just saying about how we're going to get liquidity from other big exchanges now, not just on-demand liquidity with RippleNet. This is huge, guys. It's all coming together. The chess pieces are constantly moving. But yet we're seeing, silly articles online, or one guy comments something negative, and then all the doubt is back in your investment. It's just zero doubt. And I mean, if I ever get emotional, it's because I get annoyed reading these comments or trying to argue with people that, haven't done the research. So that's why you might not see me really, even acknowledge things recently, because I'm kind of just over it.
And source liquidity that way. Or, the other alternative could be that as this space grows and as liquidity for XRP grows and we get closer to that goal of institutional standard, places like a Bloomberg Tradebook or an FXall or a Reuters Direct, they start to list digital assets. Now, these are very...
And notice that even NASDAQ has listed the liquidity index for XRP. Why? And then notice that R3 has, all kinds of incentives to work with NASDAQ and all these other groups and get kind of institutional grade custody and trading platforms off the ground. You have to look at the big players, Fidelity Digital Assets, even ErisX, which we'll talk about in like 1 minute. Things are coming, guys. All right. And of course, backed and all that controversy, but that doesn't matter short term.
Traditional capital markets.
Long term.
FX liquidity pools. If we get to that point, then it becomes very easy for a bank to run a payment through the ledger, right? But really, it's all liquidity dependent, which is really what you're solving for with respect to the cross-border
All right, it's all liquidity dependent. This is my belief, guys. I say all or nothing, zero or hero. There's no in between. I know some people say, oh yeah, XRP will be, $5. Obviously, it's not a stable coin for $1. That's been well known and kind of addressed by, the founders. And of course, there's been valuations from, $3 to $120 with the cross-border market alone and the multiplier effect. But I get it. We're not even at $1 slowdown. I'm just saying, the longer we trend at these low valuations, the more I do believe in the potentiality or the potential of, several big price jumps or, even something like a price set that has been done with the history of gold. And people understand and they say, wait, why would a price set even exist? Why would that be an option? Well, with gold, when there was a high price set, it actually did other things for the economy. It wasn't just to make gold holders rich. There's a method to the madness. And of course, when you're transmitting value and you need that liquidity, again, higher price allows higher value payments to move, without friction. That's also another, reason for liquidity. Okay. It falls under the definition of liquidity, which is, of course, in this space, a catch-all term. All right. Next, I am Legion sharing this. So again, we got ErisX Digital. So notice this. We have exciting news. Eris Clearing, the clearing and settlement arm. Again, settlement is what we care about for these other institutions of the ErisX platform for spot and regulated futures on cryptocurrencies has secured a virtual currency license. One of the hardest ones to get, guys, the BIT license from the New York DFS. Guys, this is huge. Again, the Department of Finance in New York noticed that essentially the gentleman that wrote the entire framework, the regulatory framework for the BIT license, left. Ben Lawsky. He left, and guess what? He's on the board of directors with Ripple as well. But yeah, I'm sure that's just another coincidence, just like Craig Phillips and everyone else. All right, and then ErisX. Let's see if they're investors. CME catches my eye. Consensus catches my eye. Pantera Capital catches my eye. Fidelity, once again. NASDAQ, Ameritrade. All right, do you understand these connections? And then do some research and look at all these guys. SIBO. It just keeps going, guys. So please, 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 I encourage you to do your research. I appreciate everybody that sends their research as well and, allows me to share it on the channel. All right. Next, let's get into this now. This is pretty cool. So basically, Matthew Liny put this thread together along with King Solomon and some others to tie together Flutterwave, Visa, Ripple, M-Pesa, and kind of talking about the African Payments Network. I know that other news came out recently with Moja Loop and Google. And again, Moja means one. It's Swahili for one. So one loop kind of interoperating these payment networks, similar to Interledger Protocol. Again, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation with Ripple. That's kind of their initiative. Just huge things coming. Absolutely massive. And that is why, whether it takes, another 6 months or 5 years, I'm not going anywhere because I see what's coming. All right. So let's get through this information. So before we talk about, let's kind of get through this. So let's go right here. So King Solomon, XRP _owl. So we got Flutterwave, Visa, Ripple, M-Pesa, and African Payments. So we know this, fitting Ripple blockchain into Flutterwave's core infrastructure for Africa payments, okay? So we understand Ripple, Flutterwave partners. There's no question about it. Of course, there's further speculation about integrations with the other big payment providers, and we'll talk about them and talk about one of the biggest networks in the world, measured well over 100 billion. All right. So we can see here, fintech startup Flutterwave has partnered with Visa, and we know Visa is, if you haven't seen the previous video I released, please see it. And it actually shows the screenshot I always reference with Visa acquiring Earthport for a couple $100 million in order to team up with Ripple to replace Swift. Right? We can see their payment product for Africa, Get Barter. National borders exist, and again, across national borders, okay? Existing Visa cardholders, and again, this is kind of interoperability between countries, guys. It's still cross-border. This is literally RippleNet. All right, existing Visa cardholders can send and receive funds at home or internationally. We get, Get Barter, so remember that. Allows Flutterwave, which is scaled as a payment gateway for big companies through its Rave product to pivot to African consumers and traders to make transfers across multiple products, national borders, and shop online, or payment products, All right. Setting up a transacting party on Rave. We can see here with the required credit to the Rave profile, and this is settlement, guys. Right? The same split is reflected on the Rave profile to always show the updated balance. Right? Newer technology. Interesting. All right, now let's keep going. And then briefly, guys, we can see here, Africa Roundup, Visa connects to M-Pesa, Flutterwave enters e-commerce. Remember what I said, cross-border payments and e-commerce falls into this. We need to develop trust with the XRP ledger, and amongst, all kinds of DLT and distributed systems. You basically, not only is there disintermediation, you get rid of the middlemen, but it fosters trust. Today, in this environment, as I've always said, there's mutual mistrust. We need to foster mutual trust, and this will propel commerce, not just e-commerce, but commerce as a whole, to a whole nother galaxy, guys. Look here, Visa right here. We can see Flutterwave. We can see some other groups as well. So again, just to kind of give a quick overview. So Safaricom is a mobile network operator, and it seems like they are based out of Nairobi. Okay. And then M-Pesa is the payment product. So we can kind of read about this, and this is all with TechCrunch, is a fast, secure, and convenient way to transact on mobile. Again, mobile. Okay, reminds me of kind of Mojaloop with mobile networks as well. Brought to you by, one of the biggest companies, Vodafone. All right. And then talking about Kenya, M-Pesa, we can kind of just see the connections. Guys, it's just right in front of you. You can see the unbanked populations. Of course, I'm more bullish on XRP for institutional use cases. And of course, institutional money will run through these payment networks in central banks. But there's also going to be a retail application and market for them. And that's where I'm looking at other cross-border use cases. Potentially, XLM, Lumens, Stellar Lumens, and the Stellar Foundation. Who knows? We can continuously speculate. I do a lot of research and I try to keep up with it. But right now, I'm definitely looking at XRP more than some other projects that I look into, such as Tezos, Chainlink, Cardano, VeChain, etc. All right, let's keep going. So then right here, again, fitting Ripple in the blockchain, Flutterwave's core infrastructure, Bank XRP sharing this, so we are aware of that. All right, now let's go over something even cooler. So right here, guys. So again, this is Archive Part 18 by I Am Legion, guys, to show you a few connections. Thank you to Darren Moore. I believe this is XRP Nuts, and then King Solomon. Again, further contributions. Well, let's breeze through this and we'll call it a day. All right. So right here, interledger payment methods, guys. We've seen this example. We've seen WorldPay and Alipay with XRP for the cryptocurrency interledger, bridging these payment networks together. We can see the wallets, we can see the amounts, the actual processor for these payments. Pretty compelling, okay? We understand IOP was gifted the World Wide Web Consortium. Seems like there's a greater plan, and again, Hyperledger and Ripple kind of founded this whole interledger protocol that was gifted to the people that essentially run the guidelines for the entire internet today. But I'm sure that's just another coincidence. All right, Hyperledger. You can see, get the code, start up, use Hyperledger Composer. We can kind of go through this. And again, we're talking about Alibaba now and all of this. So BaaS, I believe this is blockchain as a service, similar to SaaS, software as a service. So now we're talking about the cloud integrations. Of course, we've talked in the past with Accenture. We've talked with Amazon Web Services. Now we're kind of seeing Alibaba in here. Of course, regarding and related to Alipay. And believe it or not, even King Solomon in the past, he has actually tied Flutterwave and Alipay integration together. And then we did further speculate. This is kind of connecting some dots, so I get it. Further speculated that since Flutterwave is a RippleNet partner and they're integrated with Alipay, there's potential to use some version of RippleNet or potentially look in exploring settling XRP when the liquidity is there in the years to come. And Flutterwave actually asked them to take that post down, which was really interesting to me. All right, and that was, big hype a while back, whether it was last year or 2 years ago, I forget. Right here, Alibaba's Ant Financial to launch blockchain backend as a service. Okay? So blockchain backend as a service platform. All right, and is developed as blockchain to fit somewhere between R3's Corda, again, can settle with XRP, and Hyperledger's Fabric. And again, Hyperledger, guys, it always reminds me of Ethereum. And yes, I am a bull for Ethereum as well. I'm a bull for utility and solving real problems. There's plenty of decentralized distributed applications built upon it as well. And yeah, there's always issues and there's always room for improvement, but I think Ethereum's here to stay. So we'll see what happens in the coming years. Ant's blockchain is targeted at a middle level of applicability with its partners in mind. I'm going to kind of speed through this, talking about the transactions per second. Again, its closest equivalent is Ethereum. Ant's blockchain is permissioned, not public. So again, they'll still need to, interoperate with public blockchains to a degree if there are really, these dApps built upon them that are important. And remember, the Bank of France has said that Ethereum and XRP could potentially power central bank digital currencies. And this year, funny enough, we're seeing more groups admit that they've been developing these central bank digital currencies since like 2015 alone. So you tell me, that's just another coincidence, right? DLocale. So DLocal, DLocale adds WeChat Pay, Alipay, and Union Pay. We talked about Union Pay a lot. Haven't really talked too much about Alipay, to be honest. So Union paid a portfolio of emerging market payments. Okay, so dLocal, I'm going to call them, and then a BBVA, again, another RippleNet partner, OpenPay company. You can see here, internet giants like Alibaba and SoftBank are on the hunt globally for mobile money. We've been talking a lot about these mobile money wallets, even with Flutterwave and M-Pesa. We've been talking about, Mojaloop and their initiatives. Mobile money will be massive. And guess what? These mobile networks, online wallets, bank networks and wallets and ledgers, they still need to interoperate. Hence, Interledger Protocol. All right, BBVA moving to bolster its offerings in Mexico with the acquisition of OpenPay. All right, as you can see here. And then again, King Solomon, Ant Financial equals Ripple enabled through Standard Chartered. And again, Standard Chartered, one of the investors of Ripple as well, and a RippleNet partner. And of course, what was her name? I'm blanking. Not Kahina Van Dyke, was it? Somebody recently left Ripple to take a high position for a bank. I thought it was Standard Chartered, but it might be Santander. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. Credit to XRP nuts for initial connection. Again, I think that access, and it's kind of spelled AX, is the new information. So again, Ant Financial equals Ripple. It's enabled through Standard Chartered access platform. That's a tongue twister. All right, so we got access right here by Standard Chartered. I'm just going to call them Standard so I can speak without sounding dumb. Right here, architecture enables others to create value in networks. So we can kind of see these connections again, tying in Flutterwave with Ripple. We've already seen this. And again, Alipay has been activated to all merchants using Flutterwave's Rave account. So they're already integrated. Alipay's 1 billion users globally can now trade with Flutterwave, accepting business in Africa and in the US. Interesting. And again, you would assume that Africa and the US would like to communicate and be interoperable because there's so many more markets there, not only for just mere remittance, but even business as a whole. So I think it's a safe assumption that in terms of the settlement layer, since there's not a single solution for actual settlements on the core ledgers of banks, it's not too far-fetched to think that they would be using it. Are you guys with me? All right. Ripple partner Finabler. Again, every time I see Finabler, it reminds me of Finastra, another Ripple partner, just a behemoth. Inks or Links. Alipay blockchain Alipay blockchain remittance deal. So now Finabler's connected with Alipay. Obviously, it is common, guys. I get it that a lot of FIs and these groups kind of work together and have mutual interest to grow and develop new markets and compete with other groups. I get it. But eventually, you're going to kind of realize there's too many coincidences, and you cannot name a single, not protocol, but digital asset that has a potential to be the universal bridge asset that doesn't require trust. Of course, there's other utility settlement tokens. I get it. But I've gone in depth in detail why they are not a threat. All right, Libra, a permission database, not a threat. UBS's token, not a threat. I've known, not a threat. You could just, Fnality, not a threat. That's not a concern. It is truly Ripple. Again, they just joined the ISO standards committee. It's just a done deal. All right, Finabler, the holding company for money transfer companies, TravelX, and the UAE exchange. Remember, Brad Garlinghouse, even in the Islamic most 500 influential people was named, and then UAE, United Arab Emirates, and even just areas throughout the Middle East. Ripple is very, very well known. Now, another reason, think about all the sanctions that the U.S. dollar reserve status has on areas in the Middle East. It's unacceptable. So not only them, but even Russia, China, all of them are talking about developing a new system. They're working on BRICS to get away from the SWIFT system. That is a lot of value being transmitted via high value. You have to understand and kind of connect those dots. And I'm trying to say something without really saying it, so hopefully some of you are reading between the lines. All right, the partnership will expand Alipay's reach for remittances through Finabler's global network spanning over 170 countries. Again, a RippleNet partner. But yeah, you guys say, Ripple only has 300, 450 partners. No, look directly. Temenos, 3,000 plus banks utilizing their software integrated with Ripple, which means integrated with XRP. Are they using XRP today? No. But this has the capability to do so if they decide to do an all-in-one time flip of the switch. All right? Finastra, 9,000 customers. And now we have Finabler. We'll have to find out, the customers that utilize this platform. Over 170 countries. I rest my case. I'm just kind of continuously going to connect the dots. It's not going to be obvious, guys. That's what I want to emphasize. I think everyone in finance, even in higher positions, are kind of just kept with one foot in the door. They don't really understand what's happening. And I think that, there is a greater plan, but it's kind of done by the bigger players in the space. And they're kind of just feeding them as they go. You know, they're not really denying, but they're not talking about XRP, the one that should not be named. And it's an open source protocol. The only way to create this level playing field, like the International Monetary Fund, the Bank of International Settlements, the World Bank, are spewing and saying. Look at the narrative, guys. It's absolutely astounding. Alipay partner integrates Ripple's remittance technology. What do you know? So now we got Tranglo. Remember we talked about them earlier? And see, you know, with cross-border remittance, API fuels payments. We got Japan, India, and China. India, another behemoth that I'm talking about. Even remember the governor of the Reserve Bank of India? Do you remember his connections with Ripple? Do you remember how he is at Swell, Ripple's annual event, answering questions? Things that make you go, why do they care so much about XRP? And Ripple said, it's not just RippleNet, just, you know, this FUD too. Ripple said XRP is literally one of the most important kind of interests and concerns of the company. There's many reasons for that. They want to use blockchain infrastructure. It's not just atomic swaps and fancy messaging. They want XRP to be as successful as anything. It's not a stablecoin. They want it to be a potential reserve currency. Now, when I say reserve currency, I mean as a bridge asset to replace these Nostro accounts. You can pool liquidity using a multi-currency asset. The conversion rates are going to be lower, save so much money when there's liquidity in the system. And there can be liquidity instantly if these massive groups do go live. Look at this. Alipay is the world's largest mobile payment platform with 1.2 billion. Ripple and Alipay alliance, yeah, makes you wonder, guys. Alipay currently the largest payment network in the world, presently valued at $150 billion. This has been the dominant mobile and online payment service provider in China and some parts of Asia. All right, guys, remember, Ripple meets with the Central Bank of China. Their connections with Lian as a RippleNet partner. You just have to really connect the dots. And once you do a few years of research, you're going to realize it's all been in front of us this entire time. Now, I don't want to speculate with the price. I know this video might be hypey. I get it, but it's just simply because I'm reading this day in and day out and understanding what's happening. I listen to regulators. I listen to, you know, people in high-tiered positions of financial institutions and central banks. It's not just Ripple. I'm not just listening to them. And I'm realizing that, you know, the vernacular, the narrative, it's all there. Okay? Again, Ripple exec, high traffic processor. They had high ambitions for Alipay. Okay, we don't really hear them talking about Alipay at all. But again, CEO Brad Garlinghouse was talking about that and wanted to venture and kind of partner with them as well. We got Reuters, again, U.S. blocks. Oh, I like this too. U.S. blocks MoneyGram sale to China's Ant Financial on national security concerns. So remember, Ant Financial wanted to acquire MoneyGram. And this was, look, January 2018. What happened later in 2019? Ripple. $50 million strategic investment, now 10%, nearing as we're approaching 20% of all the volume of MoneyGram, specifically kind of the Mexican corridor, is moving through XRP. Now, this is the low value, high volume. We're ramping up that volume, kind of that stepping stage. We need that liquidity to kind of foster it up, and we're ready to start putting medium value and then high value. It's game time. All right? All right in front of us. Makes you wonder. National security concern. All right. And then you kind of look at, you know, who's related with the NSA, who's related with SEC, the CFTC, who's met with the Trump administration. And you kind of see what makes sense. Again, R3 suing Ripple to get, you know, their $5 billion promised XRP. Oh, they're just suing Ripple to have XRP to dump it on the market? Or did they actually want to utilize it? Or do they see a future in this technology? All of these things just make you go, So again, guys, do not send me any tips. If anyone deserves tips, be sure I am Legion on Coils. Follow him. You can find him on Twitter as well. Darren Moore. This is Fame Moore on Twitter. XRP Nuts and King Solomon, guys. I appreciate it. Shout out to Jamie XRP, Mikey, Crypto Beginner, Philip, Miles, Ken Melendez, and all of the other top channel members. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. Share this video around. And until next time.